Great. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to kind of our next edition of the AVAIL Spotlight webinar series. I brought on myself, Clay Watson, Director of Customer Success at AVAIL. With me, I've got Rob Snyder, our Customer Success Manager. And so we've been hosting a couple of webinars so far, spotlighting different things. Last month, we've spotlighted pallets. Sometimes it'll be on a feature, sometimes it'll be on a specific topic or principle. And so this month, we've chosen how to boost efficiency with AVAIL. So using kind of our platform, some of our functionality and features, and kind of understanding the why about some of these features and what we're really trying to accomplish with the feature set that's provided in AVAIL. So to go over the agenda, we'll go over a couple of updates and reminders. We've got some current customers of AVAIL. We've got some new or prospect customers as well. So I'm going to go over a couple of different updates there. And then we're going to dive into some of the topics. So we're going to be covering several different things around some of the publisher tools and resources that we've made accessible through AVAIL. We're going to spotlight a brand new feature with kind of our recent 5.0 version of the AVAIL desktop application. That's kind of the new tool on the block. And then we're going to talk about a tool that's kind of been kind of on the side, kind of an appendage to AVAIL for a while, but something that I've come across conversations with current customers who have used AVAIL for a couple of years and just didn't really realize the full capacity of this specific tool. So it's actually an XML file that allows you to kind of automate some of the tagging that you would do on your content in AVAIL, which is really, really cool. And then we'll kind of talk about the takeaways, talk about the resource that you have available to provide feedback as well. So to start off, quick reminders for current AVAIL customers. We've got just to kind of keep everyone up to speed, current versions, looking at what we've got available right now for download and installation. Desktop 5.05, AVAIL for Revit, which is our project navigator add-in, is 5.3.3. And we actually have, you guys are the first ones to really see this communication. We actually have a brand new small minor version of Harvest that's been updated recently earlier this week. And that's 2.4.5, and that just includes some performance improvements, and you'll see some communication around that here in the next day or so. So to start things off, I want to start kind of big picture, talking about really kind of what we're doing as a content management solution and as an option for you, kind of looking at different solutions out there. So our goal is to really kind of balance two important principles of content management. It's really kind of the content ease of maintenance, and then ease of consumption. So several different things that we're going to be talking about today is really kind of finding that balance. And that's really where you're going to hit that efficiency in the deliverables of taking away out of AVAIL and getting your projects done and completed. So we're going to be touching on a couple of different things. They're going to hit both ends of those two principles, but they're both very important. There's no one way to do it, one way to manage your content in AVAIL. There is a variety of different ways, but there's always these two things should always be considered and looked at as you're kind of evaluating your strategy around managing your content in general. So specifically, as we dive in to some of the tools that we've got available to boost that efficiency. So we're going to be going over some of our channel tools. So channels is where you can house your content in AVAIL. That's where everything is stored and kind of visually accessible. We're going to talk about the tag and filters and key cards of it all. So that's really kind of building out your searchability, making that super efficient, making your visual interface easy to navigate and find content. We're going to talk about that new tool. It's a channel audit tool. And so that can come up and making it easier for BIM managers to kind of clean up channels that maybe need some extra attention and for you to kind of manage your content a lot more efficiently. And then we're going to talk about the Revit Tag Generator. So that's the XML file to rule them all. And it's a tool that you can use alongside AVAIL and alongside AVAIL Harvest to automate some of your tagging through Revit content. So kind of before we dive in, we're going to talk about a couple of different terms, some things that we use internally at AVAIL and that we use, during our onboarding and trying to get people up to speed on like what these things kind of mean. But it's important to kind of touch on them. So when I reference to them later, you kind of have an understanding and a context of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to be mentioning some channel lenses, and those are specific tools and utilities that we've got built into the application. around tagging and filtering and editing your kind of searchability of your content. I'm also going to talk about key cards. And so key cards is kind of our really kind of staple way to group your content based on your tags, based on those searching keywords and terms. And then it allows you to then take those tags, take that searchability, and bring it up into a very kind of visually efficient browsing experience for your end users. So again, it's kind of the finding that balance again between that easily consumable and easy to maintain content. The key card side of it is really kind of aimed at that easily consumable content. All right, so yeah, let's dive in. I'm going to switch over to my AVAIL desktop. We're going to talk about some of these, this specific toolkit. And so these are the channel lenses that I just mentioned and where they can be found in AVAIL. So if you are new to AVAIL, we're going to kind of go through some of the functionality and again, what it means, how it ties back to that easy to maintain versus easy to consume content. So when you're in AVAIL, you go to your homepage, you've got your list of channels, you're going to see everything that's been shared with you. I've got a test channel here with some casework uploaded into it. And I think maybe one piece of generic model there as well. So in the very far right column, you're going to see your channel lenses. And so this is available to publishers, people who have editing access on a channel. And so then once you open up these panels, the first one is the channel tools lens. And it's going to be composed of two different parts. It's a feature called Tag IO, and then another one called Tag Import. And so both of these is really aimed at that ease of content maintenance, right? So when you get into AVAIL, really kind of no matter the size of content or the amount of content that you have, tagging content is very, very essential to that searching experience and making searching really efficient. So the way that you tag content really affects that consumability by your end users as well. So it's always important to kind of have that tagging strategy. And we've built Tag IO and Tag Import to allow the maintenance of those tags to be very efficient and be very easy to manage overall. So Tag IO is really aimed at changing your tags. So as you kind of get into building out your channels, building out all of these different tags, ways that end users can search for your content, Tag IO provides you a way to export that metadata and kind of look at it in a spreadsheet form. You can Excel spreadsheet form, and then make edits to that metadata. So across your entire channel, no matter how much content is in there, how much metadata you've got, you have the ability to download a spreadsheet. We've actually just updated Tag IO to include this additional metadata kind of customization. So before you kind of exporting everything, it was a full dump of all your metadata, all of the tags and keys that you could edit if you needed to. Here, you actually have an option to be very specific. If you want to go in, you want to change one specific key, one specific set of tags, you can do that just by clicking and unchecking some of the tags or some of these metadatas entries, and then you can download it. And that's just going to take it. It's going to put it into a TSV file, but that's something that can be opened through Excel or Google Sheets. And that's where you can edit it, and then you'd be able to upload that spreadsheet to make those changes. And that's just a sweeping change. Anything that you've edited, whether you're removing a tag, maybe you don't like that tag, maybe it was the wrong tag to begin with, and you need to kind of clean things up. You can do that across your entire channel and make those changes really kind of easily to improve that experience for your end users. And then we've also got the other option is your tag import. And so this is a way, again, as you're kind of growing and using AVAIL, adding more and more channels, sometimes you don't want to do the work, again, do the rework to set up your tag and key value pairs. And so when you're in a specific channel, you've got your set of keys at the very bottom, and this is kind of your filters panel. You got your keys to the very left and all of the tags that are stacked underneath it. And so tag import, if you like this structure, if you want to copy this structure from one channel to the next, tag import is the tool to make that very easily done. So you don't actually have to recreate or do the rework to set this up again. You can actually select your source channel and then copy that into to your new channel. And that just kind of, again, saves you time, saves you that extra bit of rework that might need to be done if you need to set up that same structure. You also have an option to, download a spreadsheet similar to Tag.io, but in this instance, it's really kind of looking at the content specifically. And so you can append new tags or purge or replace existing tags from a spreadsheet form as well. Excellent. So to build off of some of that tag management, so that kind of content easy to maintain type of principle, we also have a tag and filters editor. So once you have your tags in place, you got your keys in place, you have a structure for your end users to go through and filter down to content that they need. You can always change that and revise it and improve it, which is something that we always encourage. And so through this tag and filters editor, we give you some functionality to allow you to kind of change that interface and make it a little bit easier for end users. So this can be, all shapes and sizes. Again, it depends on how much content you've got, depending on how much robust tagging you've done to that content. But this is a very kind of customizable interface. And so here you can actually change the order of how these things are displayed. So if you think that, if you're thinking of this strategically and understanding how your users want to find those files and find that content, you can kind of structure it based on that same strategy. So if you needed, your Omni-class title to be moved up underneath your Revit category, you could do that. And so again, this is going to change the kind of that filter experience for your end users. So once you go in and you actually can hide some of this tagging as well. So if you didn't need this to show up this feature keyword, this is one of a test one that we had created. If you don't want that to be visible, but still searchable, you can drag it below the line, kind of clean up that filters panel to, again, really kind of make sure that it's easy to kind of filter down and find exactly what that end user needs. So as you make those changes, you can close out. It's going to give you an option to refresh the channel, and then you'll see those changes applied based on some of the reordering that you would have done there. I've got my Omni-class tile Revit version have been moved up, and so as I'm kind of going through filtering down, you can adjust that strategically. Excellent. So moving on, I'm going to talk again, we're going to kind of switch to the next channel tool or the kind of channel lens that we have available, and it's around key cards. So the first thing I want to mention is that kind of take a look at what that means. What does a key card look like? And so it's best to kind of start back at the home page and look at the channel card layout. And understand that this is kind of the first kind of visual interface for end users. So this is kind of where you're able to kind of capture and collect the content into different groups. You can do that in a variety of different ways, whether it be by application if you want specific SketchUp content one place in one channel, Revit content in another, or if you want your materials library in a specific channel like you see here, it's a good way to do that. And you can actually kind of customize those channel cards as you create them. So if I wanted to go down here and actually view my channel details, you can actually edit this channel card and change that image, whether it be like a color-coded image or a branded image based on your firm or based on kind of your color scheme, anything that you want to do, kind of create that. You have that option to kind of customize that channel card. And then as you dive into that channel, you can set up additional categories to your content around the tags. You can group those tags together and present them in this key card structure. So again, it's a visual hierarchy that can be done in AVAIL around your channel cards, and then your key cards. So kind of really kind of looking at it as you kind of, as that end user logs into AVAIL, structuring it in a way that they can pinpoint exactly what they need, and then kind of dive deeper, kind of cascading down into the content that they are looking for. So we do have a way to edit your key cards, and we also have some resources that are kind of readily available. So if you're using AVAIL and maybe this is the first time you've seen key cards or understood how they actually work, we've got some additional resources that you can use to kind of save you a lot of time around designing the key cards and kind of looking at the color scheme and the differential between how they look and feel. So if you go into your AVAIL installers and publisher resources channel, this is going to be available to anyone with AVAIL. This might be hidden. You might have hidden this long ago. You can always unhide that by selecting your kind of hidden channels toggle here at the top, and you can bring it back into view. But as you click in, we've actually provided some templates around channel cards and key cards. Again, to kind of help kind of expedite some of that design process, that setup process that it might take to get those established and built and assigned to your keys and tags. So we've got two different buckets here. You got your channel cards that are kind of broken up into a couple different styles, some smooth and soft kind of variations. Let me click on here and kind of look at some of the different ones that are available. And see, these are all hosted in our cloud, so they're able to be downloaded and consumed by any AVAIL customer. You can kind of grab what you need, download it, and then add it to your channel, just like I showed before, where you edit those details. Just like the channel card interface, we also have some key card templates. And so here we've broken it up into Revit categories, different disciplines, if that's something that you're going to have in your AVAIL library. Omni class, we've kind of got flashcard style designs, some more organic designs as well. But a lot of things that you can kind of choose and kind of pick exactly kind of what fits your initial setup or something to refresh a channel card or a key card. There's a lot of different options that we make readily available to make that process a lot easier to implement. So again, that's in your publisher's resources channel in AVAIL. And so as you kind of get into establishing your key cards, we do have a key card editor. Again, it's another channel lens that we have available on the right panel. And so here you can actually customize which keys you'd like to have a card for. And so here I've got the Revit category. It's already established as its own key. I can change the layout of how those are displayed. If I wanted this kind of grid view, you could, that's kind of by default, it's option there. You can also have it as this kind of banner mode. So it's a little bit smaller, but it's just going to travel across and it'll give you the opportunity to kind of see all the content, but it still have these kind of filterable windows, kind of key cards at the very top of the page. So if y'all look back and I change this interface a little bit, instead of seeing that large key card, you still have them up top. They're just a little bit smaller, so you can actually fit a lot across the top and add it there and filter it, the same way by clicking on it. And then if I go back to my key card editor, let's say I wanted to add another level to the key card. So again, looking at that visual hierarchy, understanding that there's the channel card, the key card, you can actually kind of stack your keys and make it kind of another layer to go down and make that browsing experience even deeper. So you can add a key. So here I'll choose Omni class title, continue. I'm actually going to switch this one back to my grid. And then I'll go over to Omni class. So you can actually edit these, or by default, it's just going to give you the text. Again, this is where you can actually choose an image. If you've downloaded one of our templates, you can take that, you can upload it that matches the key that you would have selected. And then you can do some other customization as well. So there's a lot more that you can do on the key card level compared to the channel card, because you can edit the text if you didn't want that text to be visible. Maybe you had your own branded image. We've seen a lot of firms do that. They kind of create their own image with their brand and picture and all those kind of graphics and things. So maybe you want to remove that default text from Avail, you can do that. You can change some of the color of the text itself or the visual background. If you want to kind of color code certain pieces, you could do that, and really kind of stylize that search experience, right? So it's making that content even easier to consume and find, and building that visual interface with key cards really kind of makes that process really, really efficient. Okay, excellent. That's kind of the brief rundown of editing key cards. I'm going to close out of this. The next thing that we're going to talk about is looking at the new tool that we've got with 5.0. I'm going to pass this over to Rob Snyder, and he's going to talk about the channel audit. And this is a tool that we built really kind of based on some customer feedback to allow you to kind of clean up your channel a lot easier than before. So I'll turn it over to Rob.
Thanks, Clay. I'll share my screen. Let's see, is that the right screen? I think so. This one. Yes, so I will talk about what to do when something goes wrong. I know things can go wrong. So the example is I have a channel here that I made. It's called Nice Families. And it does have nice families. They're all columns. They're grouped by type. So precast concrete, steel, and wood. And like any channel, this was made by indexing content, which means I had some content sitting on my network somewhere and in a folder structure, and it has these types of columns, Revit families, and I just I dragged and dropped the whole thing into the channel, and it was indexed. Now, what can go wrong sometimes is something like this. Maybe someone decided it would be better to change the name of this folder. Not wood, but let's give it, I don't know, I changed it to English and Spanish at the same time. And now this happens. I get this warning triangle and this pop-up window that says that Avail has trouble accessing the file because that folder path no longer exists. So now you may, if you're like me, using software, you will say, oh, I have that sinking feeling again. I don't know I know there are some known unknowns and some unknown unknowns. So how long is this going to take me to fix this? So the good news is that it's very easy to fix in Avail. And the solution there is, first of all, you want to see how many are affected. How many of these are broken. So these steel ones are fine. It's the wood ones, but it may be more complex than that. So we have a audit tool here under the three dots at the top right, and it says run channel audit, and I'll do that. And it tells you that the tool will audit the content that has been indexed but is no longer accessible within this channel. So click Start, and it will find them. And then it asks me what I would like to do. And in this case, I'm going to say, well, tag as broken. So it's tagging them as broken. And then this will give me a filter down here from Avail System for broken. And if I click it, I have to refresh. If I click that tag, broken, now we will see all of the broken content. Well, that's step one. Step two is we want you to fix this in a simple way. And it involves creating a staging channel, which I did earlier, staging in today's date. And I took the source, again, just the wood Madeira, and I dragged them into this staging channel. So they were re-indexed by Avail. And then what I can do is just select them all and say, add to channel. And I want to add them to my nice families channel. Now, before I do that, I should go into that channel and select those and delete them. And one last thing about this, if you get that far, you're 90% of the way there, or 100%, but there is the possibility that you did some custom tagging on those wood columns, and you want to retain those tags. And we have a very simple 3 or 4 step process to retain those tags, and it's documented here. It's very simple. Will only take a minute, and you'll have your fixed content back in your channel and with all of the custom tags that you had added before intact. Hopefully that's good coverage of the audit tool.
That's great. Thanks, Rob. We also had a couple of questions that came through in the Q&A. One from one of our AVAIL champions. It's a good comment to make around if you're using kind of a network drive. So if a user unmaps the network drive for whatever reason, it also will also not be able to resolve it in AVAIL. It'll look like a kind of broken or inaccessible piece of content. So it's always the recommendation there from that AVAIL champion is always published from the full UNC path in those situations, just to kind of mitigate how often that can occur. We also had another question around the channel audit. This specific tool is available in 5.0. So again, if you're using 4.6, 4.5, upgrading that will give you that option from that 3-dot menu to run your channel audit and make those changes as needed. Excellent. I'm going to switch back over. We're going to talk a little bit about the Revit Tag Generator and then close things out. So the Revit Tag Generator is kind of a partner with AVAIL in a lot of ways. It's kind of this additional feature that we've got that you can use alongside AVAIL Harvest. So as you're using Revit, you're taking your container libraries, you're using Harvest to break them out into their individual elements in AVAIL. You can use the Revit Tag Generator to automate some of the tagging that's done through that process. It's really kind of around your Revit parameters. And so what this file does, it'll be accessible for anyone using Revit and using AVAIL. You can go in, you can edit this specifically so that it can automatically create those key and tag value pairs to, again, save you some time, get that kind of core tag structure solidified, and then you can kind of expand from there. But you at least have that starting place and that kind of first kind of searchability out of that content as soon as you harvest or add it to AVAIL. So again, this is all around kind of creating a more robust and more streamlined searchability for the users. That's really kind of the focus on tagging and having a tagging strategy is creating that more kind of efficient searching experience for your end users. So we got to take a look at that, what it looks like, what you'll see if you go to that specific location. Let me go back to that really quick. It's in this program data folder. And so that'll be the same for any other user. You can actually pull that out. It's going to look like this XML file that you can open. You can use a notepad tool, a text editor tool to open that. And it'll look like this. And it'll allow you to, it's going to give you some full instructions. So everything in green in this file is actually very, very helpful. So if you need instructions, you need some clarification on what some of these things are going to do, definitely kind of read through those. But the basic idea is adding a key value based on your Revit parameter that you'd like to kind of create and have searchable in AVAIL. And then as you harvest, as you kind of index some of that content, it's going to create those tags based on the different parameter sets. So another example down here, we've got an Omni class or Omni class title. You can add in your assembly codes, really kind of anything that you would want to kind of automatically generate as you complete that process of index into AVAIL. We also have, if you scroll down, it's not just the parameter mapping that you can accomplish. You can also use this translations option. And so this is actually going to give you the ability to customize and define your own naming structure. So if you wanted to take Revit category and change it into family category, it gives you the opportunity to do that. You can add that to the same file in this same structure following these notes. Another example is, taking W and actually adding width. So again, that's easier to find. And kind of having that structure in place so that once it's in AVAIL, again, it's going to be searchable. It's going to be easier to find through that process. A few things to note about the Revit Tag Generator. It is unique per desktop application, so each individual user will have a file. But if you're going to make those changes, make sure that it's kind of consistent between your publishing group or kind of BIM manager group. Any modifications to the file will require a restart, so you want to make sure that the application is restarted so that it picks up on those different changes. And then definitely number 3, choose your keys wisely. So one thing to mention is that, creating a high volume of tags is really kind of tipping the scales on that easy to maintain, easy to consume balance beam. And so if you're adding a bunch of tags, like a kind of heavy amount of tags, that can kind of degrade your search experience and make things, not as easily searchable. So kind of impact search performance, especially around like family types is a great example. So if you did convert that and have a bunch of keys based on the family types, you're going to get into dozens and dozens of different tags that are created through that process. So something to kind of be aware of and watch out for. And I did mention translations. It's just another aspect of that tag generator functionality that can be used. All right, excellent. We're kind of right at the 30-minute marker. We'll wrap up here the next couple of slides. Kind of the action items, the next steps to take away from this webinar is that if you're not using channel cards and key cards, we highly encourage that. Again, it's all about kind of creating that visual interface, making the content easy to consume and easy to find through AVAIL. So definitely kind of check out those publisher resources. We had an update not that long ago, kind of at the start of the year. So we've just added some brand new templates. A lot of work was put into there to make that easier for you to kind of get started on creating that visual interface. And if you're not the only publisher or BIM manager on your team, share this information out, right? So we'll be kind of doing additional webinars and kind of talking about some of these features here and there, but it's always great to share internally, share these different tips and tricks around channel audit or Revit Tag Generator, and make sure the word is spread on some of these things that can kind of make your workflows that much more efficient. And then also kind of review your tagging strategy. If you're new to AVAIL, it's always great to kind of have a strategy in mind when you're tagging and making things searchable in AVAIL to get started. But it's also great to review that strategy as you expand and as you kind of take your content through AVAIL and kind of evolve it through AVAIL. It's always great to kind of look at that. Do you have your filters in order, right? Do you have your key card structure in the best possible way? Are your end users getting the most value out of AVAIL in that search experience, in that browsing experience, kind of in that visual interface? So it's always helpful to kind of review that, making sure that it's meeting your team's needs at any point in time. So the kind of the final question and request is kind of asking yourself and your team, what do you need to be more efficient using AVAIL, right? So if you're a current customer, you're a prospect customer looking at AVAIL, we want that feedback. We encourage that feedback. A lot of the tools that you saw today are based on customer feedback, making things more efficient. We want this interface to be something that you can easily maintain and that it's easily consumed by your end users. That's again, those 2 core principles I can't stress enough. They're really important, but we need that feedback. We encourage that feedback. You can reach out to support@getavail.com. You can learn more from our website as well. We've got a lot of different information around key cards. We host a contest every year, a key card contest or channel card contest. And that kind of bring in different submissions. Different AVAIL customers will submit their designs and their strategies. And then we've got a panel of judges that actually chooses those, and we announce winners kind of at the start of every year. So that's something to kind of look out for as well. But that wraps up this webinar, the Efficiency Boost webinar from Customer Success. Again, we appreciate you all attending today, and we'll see you next time.